From Boston, welcome to Off the Bench.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Off the Bench. My name is Simon Pelsman, and I am joined by Tyler Englander and Ryan Ribeiro. Today we'll be covering the World Series and talking about the Patriots' slow start to the season. But we start tonight in the NBA. LeBron James led the Los Angeles Lakers to an NBA Finals win last week. James has won 4 NBA championships with 3 different franchises. With James's 4th title, the GOAT debate is hotter than ever. Many peg Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time for winning 6 titles in the 90s, but James is also one of the greatest players ever, and his career is always being compared to Jordan. So Tyler and Ryan, let's settle this once and for all. Who is the greatest basketball player of all time? LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
The correct answer, the only correct answer on this debate is who cares? LeBron James and Michael Jordan are clearly 1 and 2. In whatever order you put them in, it really doesn't matter. This debate about, who is better, who played against tougher competition, who had a tougher road to the finals, is actually irrelevant. They played in 2 different eras. It doesn't matter. Just recognize greatness. LeBron James, just a couple of weeks ago, got his 4th NBA title, 17th season, 35 years old, 30, 11, and 9. And guess what? You go on this stupid thing right here. You go on Twitter. The only thing that people want to talk about is Michael Jordan. I'm tired of it. LeBron and MJ, they're 1 and 2. They're interchangeable. Nobody cares who's the GOAT.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, you sound like my grandpa when you say the stupid thing Twitter. Second of all the information that you just gave us, you can just Google. The question that Simon asked us is, let's settle this debate, who's the greatest of all time? And if you settle that debate, that the correct answer is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, when it comes down to it, has six rings. At the end of the day, whenever you're comparing the greatest of all time in either sport, it's who has won the most. When it was Montana
So
or
Bill Russell's the greatest of all time? He's won 11 championships. Michael Jordan's only got 6.
Okay, so a part of it is the rings. Also, the other part of it is who redefined the NBA, who made the NBA global. Michael Jordan did that. Michael Jordan made basketball popular in China, in Germany, in France. When LeBron James stepped in, that was already established, and that was because of Michael Jordan. So there's that on top of the fact that he has 6 rings. And if you want to talk about Bill Russell, there's that's a different. That's an entirely
Let's talk
different
about
era.
accomplishments on the court here, Ryan.
Go
say
ahead, go for it.
6 championships to 4. You say that's all that matters. We can throw away the, he had fun in China, Barcelona, Dream Team, all that nonsense. Let's talk about NBA stats on the floor. You say 6 championships is better than 4. That's true. But look at who Michael Jordan had. He had 2 Hall of Famers. You got Scottie Pippen and you've got Dennis Rodman. LeBron, his first championship appearance, his second leading scorer on that Cavs team, 2007 against the Spurs, was Larry Hughes. If Larry Hughes walked through the door right now, you wouldn't even know who that was. LeBron James is not supposed to win championships against a Warriors dynasty that is probably the greatest dynasty of the last 20 years since Michael Jordan in the NBA.
I just think when you're talking about the greatest player of all time and you have to list off a whole line of excuses, they're probably not the greatest player of all time, because all I heard you say was, look at who he's played with. When I look at Michael Jordan, okay, yeah, he had Dennis Rodman and he had Scottie Pippen. LeBron James has played with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Those are all very good players, some of them Hall of Famers in their own right. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, LeBron James has been to 10 NBA Finals. He's won 4 of them. That's not a knock. LeBron James is definitely the second greatest player of all time. He's not the best.
Which finals that he lost was he supposed to win? Was it the one with Larry Hughes and Daniel Gibson and Zydrunas Ilgauskas? Was it the time that he was playing with Matthew Dellavedova and Richard Jefferson, who should have already been on an ESPN set at that time?
So you're saying when you're 4 and 6 in the NBA Finals, the 6 losses are, all of them are excusable because who he's played with?
I never said all of them were excusable, but let's put it this way.
Win some.
How many championships does LeBron James win if he has Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen? Kevin Love, great player.
They're different eras.
Probably
if he has Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen in 2010, he probably wins none of them. They're old men.
Well, I mean, that's That's a ridiculous take. Look, the point I'm making, I'm not defending LeBron or Michael Jordan. I actually don't care. You never saw Michael Jordan play. I never saw Michael Jordan play. The point is we don't have to have this discourse every single time LeBron does something good. And by the way, you just talked about, oh, Michael Jordan, he changed the game. He made the NBA global. That's a plus for Michael Jordan, but a lot of people don't like LeBron because of his politics. Let's take all of the stupid off-the-court stuff out of it. LeBron James and Michael Jordan, they're 1-2. Whichever way you have them, it doesn't matter.
Well, it seems like you guys are both incredibly passionate about this, and you can make a case for both.
Except Tyler, he says he doesn't care. It's, whatever.
True, but I thought Tyler's Larry Hughes point was also really good. So we're going to move on here to our next topic, which is moving on, we pivot to the World Series. The Tampa Bay Rays prevailed in Game 2, evening the series at 1-1. The Los Angeles Dodgers entered the World Series as heavy favorites, but the Rays have already stolen a game. If the Rays win the World Series, do we credit Kevin Cash in the Rays system, or do we blame Dave Roberts for another World Series defeat?
So I think this World Series has got to be, especially if the Rays win, has got to be about the Moneyball Rays. Because you look at this team, up to down, they don't have stars. They just don't. They have a lot of very good players. Now they've had stars come up in their postseason. Randy Arozarena, obviously one of them, hitting 361 and 7 home runs in that span. Incredible, especially for a rookie. But you look at the Rays, up to down, there's just not that star power that you see, even within their own division. They beat out the Yankees, had to play them in the ALDS, beat them in 5. Who do they go up against in the ALCS? Okay, the Astros, while the only team to ever make it with a below 500 record, America's #1 hated team, the team that's on a mission to prove that it doesn't matter if they cheated or not. They take them down. And now who's that final step? It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a storybook run for the Rays, no matter if they have the #1 record in the American League. This is all about doing it on the 28th payroll in Major League Baseball. You look at the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts combined make almost as much as this entire Rays team does. I think the Dodgers have had enough time in the spotlight for being America's biggest chokers when it comes down to the World Series and the playoffs. I think it's time to give it to the Rays. They deserve the credit. It should be all about them.
Ryan's right. Moneyball was about Art Howe and Billy Beane and Scott Hatteberg and the Oakland A's. It should be about the Tampa Bay Rays. They've made 2 World Series. Meanwhile, the A's, they haven't made a World Series in this so-called Moneyball era. But this is about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They just keep spending. Apparently, money grows on trees in LA. They have to win this World Series. Perfectly set up for them. 60 games sprint to the finish. You've got Bellinger, Betts, you got Seager back. So many pieces. And this is the time for Clayton Kershaw to get his ring. He is probably, him and Justin Verlander, the top 2 pitchers of our generation. This is the time for Dave Roberts and LA to get their first World Series since 1988. And you brought up Mookie Betts. I have to bring this up. This isn't about the World Series. This is about my beloved Boston Red Sox. John Henry is worth $215 billion. You could combine the money of every single person.
Can you check the math on that one?
$215 billion. Let's check the notes. Oh, no, $2.5 billion.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Not an expert. That's why we got the notes. Anyway, he's worth a whole bunch of money, more than anyone in this building. He owns the Boston Globe, the Red Sox, Liverpool, Roush Fenway Racing. He could not sign Mookie Betts. This is almost as bad as the Red Sox trading Babe Ruth. And I was forced to watch a team that absolutely stunk. A guy named Mike Kickham was on the roster. Mike Kickham, John Henry, you should sell the team.
So did it take until the World Series for you to figure out that trading Mookie Betts was a bad idea? Because I think the rest of the world thought when it happened in the offseason that this probably wasn't going to work out. But you bring up a very good point about Clayton Kershaw, is that I think specifically, and the 60-game sprint, specifically this season is designed to help him when it gets down to playoff time. Because maybe you have that a little bit, that wear and tear. You know, he's getting there in his 30s of, okay, it gets to October, maybe his arm's tired, maybe he can't throw as hard anymore, maybe he doesn't have his, his A-game stuff all the time. But this is a 60-game season, and you get down into October, and it's time for him to go 6 or 7 deep into the game. He did that in the wild card game against the Brewers. He did that in Game 1 somewhat against the Rays in the World Series. But it's time for him to start showing it consistently. And if this series gets down to 5, 6, 7 games, they're going to need Clayton Kershaw.
This question opened with, is it more about Dave Roberts or Kevin Cash? Dave Roberts has seen that Clayton Kershaw on 3 days rest, he's not the same pitcher. Doing the smart thing, waiting to bring back Kershaw for Game 5. You've got Walker Buehler, who's got 2 more starts. The Dodgers should be able to win this series. You've got 2 more starts from Buehler, 1 more from Kershaw. Both of them are better than even Blake Snell or Glasnow. The Dodgers are set up to win this series. It's time to start winning if you're the LA Dodgers.
I think especially with the Dodgers, this is a must-win. There are no excuses if they lose. But we finished tonight in the NFL. The New England Patriots are 2-3 for the first time since '02, and they trailed the 4-2 Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. The Patriots have won the AFC East each of the past 11 seasons, but their streak could come to an end this year. The Bills are hoping to win the division this season for the first time since 1995. Gentlemen, who is the favorite to win the AFC East, the New England Patriots or the Buffalo Bills?
This is a ridiculous question. Obviously, it's the New England Patriots.
It's a ridiculous answer.
The New England Patriots have dominated this division ever since I've been alive. Would you rather have Bill Belichick and Cam Newton, a former MVP, or Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, who ran around with a chicken with its head, like a chicken with his head cut off in that playoff game last year? The last game they played against the Chiefs, Bills, very undisciplined. You've got guys hitting players out of bounds, throwing wild interceptions. The Buffalo Bills, they're not ready for prime time. They've never been. Jim Kelly was not ready for prime time. You'd think that
Jim Kelly?
Jim Kelly? Nobody. That is an organization with a history of losing. The Patriots are an organization with a history of winning. Who would you rather have, Bill and Cam or Sean and Josh?
I just don't know where Jim Kelly comes into this conversation. Regardless.
No winners in Buffalo, never have been winners. They won't be winners this year.
I agree with the first thing that you said, and you said that this is a ridiculous question. And that's true, because if you look at the standings, I think the better question is, who's going to win this division, the Bills or the Dolphins? But we'll play along with the game, and we'll say Bills or Patriots. And the answer is the Buffalo Bills. If you look at who they've lost to, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's the Tennessee Titans. And yes, they got blown out by the Titans. Not a good loss. I'll admit that, not a good loss. But you look at the Bills up to down this year. You mentioned Josh Allen running around like a chicken with no head. Does not look that way this year. 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 5th in the league in passing yards. Completion percentage way up to 67%. The knock on Allen was always, oh, he's not accurate. He can't hit the deep ball, yada, yada, yada. He's got a deep ball threat now. Stephon Diggs. That was the big trade of the offseason. That was everyone's, okay, is this going to work out? 3rd in the league in receiving yards. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen have finally arrived. And the people in New England, they're not ready for it. I think, Tyler, you sound scared.
Not only are people in New England ready for it, the Patriots are just about to thrive. Think about the Patriots' loss. You've got Seattle and Kansas City.
Right off that loss to the Denver Broncos. They're ready to thrive.
Sir, I'm speaking. Like Kamala Harris in the presidential debate, let me speak. So the point is the Patriots, yeah, they lost to the Broncos. They had offensive linemen who no one's ever heard of. They're going to get David Andrews back. They're going to get Shaq Mason back. Cam missed practice. He had the coronavirus. You can write off the loss to the Denver Broncos. You've got the 49ers this week. Jimmy G played well last week. This is as big a game for the Patriots in October as there's ever been. The Patriots are going to beat the Buffalo Bills not once, but twice this year, because against good teams, Josh Allen just doesn't have it. Watch the Tennessee game. Watch the Kansas City game. Was Josh Allen anything special? No.
Those are also 2 very good teams that you had mentioned.
He didn't lose. The idea in the NFL is to beat good teams.
Right. I agree with you. I'm not sitting here saying the Buffalo Bills are going to be in the AFC Championship game. I'm telling you they're winning that division. Specifically, if you're pitting them against the New England Patriots, that Broncos loss is horrendous. You can write it off if you want, but it's horrendous. But it also goes to the pattern as to how New England has played all season, which is the offense isn't there. With the exception of the Seattle game, Cam Newton has not been firing the ball through the air the way that you want you want him to, coming off shoulder surgery. He's tucking it and he's running it. He's got 2 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He is the entirety of that rushing offense, and I just don't think that's what you want if you're New England. Who in that backfield are you counting on? It's not Sony Michel anymore. Damian Harris coming off thumb surgery is not what you want. Rex Burkhead's not what you want, and James White's never been that guy. So where on that New England offense, because that defense has its moments where it's like, okay, they can be good. They'll win you
James
some
White,
games.
was that the guy that scored 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl? Never been that guy. He was the best player on the field.
So why is he
against
not that guy
Atlanta.
this year? Why is he not that guy this year?
James White has missed time due to personal reasons, due to a very sad circumstance. The Patriots are going to add some pieces. Don't worry. They always add pieces. Last year was Antonio Brown and Mohamed Sanu. Didn't work out. They're going to be aggressive this year. They're going to go grab a tight end, maybe Hunter Henry from L.A. They're going to grab a receiver, OBJ maybe. Definitely not, but maybe. The point is, the Patriots are going to get better. Every single year we do this, you write off the Patriots. It was after the Kansas City game in 2014. Belichick said we're on to Cincinnati. That ended with a Super Bowl trophy. It was after losing to Miami and Pittsburgh prior to Super Bowl 53. That ended with a Super Bowl trophy. Do you really trust Josh Allen to win you a playoff game?
Josh
Allen can't win a game.
to win me the division.
Josh
2 years
Allen-
in a row.
Josh
That was what
Allen-
the question was.
Josh Allen cannot win big games. Name one big game, even in the regular season. Tennessee, big game. Kansas City, big game. Looked like crap.
Hey, all right, gentlemen. It seems as if both sides here are pretty good. I think you guys are forgetting about one team called the New York Jets that are having a tough season, but will be dominant 10 years from now, so that's fine. But great discussion as always. That's all the time we have for tonight. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at WEBN Sports and visit our website, WEBN.TV, for more coverage. Until next time, for Tyler Englander and Ryan Ribeiro, I'm Simon Pelsman. Stay safe and have a good night.